So far, I'm at say about a 75% completion. I think I'm on step 131 or so, 133 of 190, or give or take a few there, because there's some steps we're putting stickers on and other things. There was a bit of challenges. The one thing I'd like to just start off with saying, my biggest challenge in the kit so far was getting the intake and the supercharger to fit. To elaborate on that a little bit, there's just hardly no space between the firewall and these components. When I say no space, like less than a quarter of an inch. So I found myself going back, rerunning wires, tucking things differently, just to various. So when keep that in mind, that when you go to install this guy, there's not much space back there. So every time you think you have things ran right, double check it, or you're going to be like me. You're going to find yourself crawling in and out, pulling the intake off and on. I literally spent hours and hours just trying to get things to fit. Those are up to this point, the two biggest constraints was just getting the intake and the supercharger to fit against, have enough space in the back. I have spent many hours on trying to get, I'm going to call it the number one boat, trying to get that far boat in the back that's behind, as you can see the input shaft there. There's a 10 millimeter boat. Let's see if I can find it on here. That is going to be this boat right there. That boat there has just pretty much kicked my butt, literally. So what I found was the instructions are, and I've written instructions before, so I know they're challenging. These instructions, no matter how well you can write instructions, some things you just kind of, once you see it, you think, oh yeah, I see what they were saying. But the instructions are well written. You just need to make sure you follow them. There's a few exceptions. The one thing I found with these instructions is they say to use a 4-inch extension with a 10 millimeter wobble socket for those back two boats. And searching all over town, apparently Sears, or at least the Sears around me, they don't sell a 4-inch extension by itself. You can buy a 3-inch or a 6-inch. So after 3 or 4 different stores and a trip to Harbor Freight, I find myself just buying a cheap set of ratchet set for $15. And it turns out that the 4-inch extension that comes with it, that is labeled 4-inch, is too long. It doesn't fit. So, and what happens is when you make it up, it's just too long. And if you look back here in that very back corner, there's just not enough space in between where the top of that nut and where the firewall bends outward. There's just not enough space there. So what I did find out is this is the setup that I was able to get to work, which was using a 3-inch with a universal and a 10 millimeter wobble. With that combination, along with a lot of 1/4-inch extensions, I was able to get back there, get on the boat, on the nut, and was able to torque it down. But when I say I spent a lot of time, I'm like probably 4 hours alone, just trying to get that. And I know you're thinking, 4 hours, really? No, 4 hours. And I'm talking about drive time to the store here. I'm talking about just jacking with getting to that boat. That was the biggest challenge I've had. One thing I'd recommend too is, of course, when I work on my vehicles, I always wear like sweats, and I wear just a t-shirt, so no buckles, no blue jeans, nothing, because you don't want to scratch up your paint. But get a towel, lay a towel over your fenders, and then also what I found too, and if you're like me and you're not as young as you used to be, a good pillow helps a lot when you happen to lay across this motor. A step stool, I was able to use a step stool, just a standard old 2-step stool, and that helped me get up on top of the vehicle, and I would literally have to lay across this to be able to reach back there to work. The other is a prone position. I'm saying prone, that's not really the right word. A squatted position here on this to be able to fit and get back into that area. So a lot of challenges there. So I wanted to point that out. That was one of the biggest, so far the hardest to the installation was getting to that one nut there. The one over here is not so bad. It's just you can get to it. You got to get in there and reach over. But that one there was literally taking the extension and pushing between the hoses and the wires, forcing it through, getting it in, and then finding the nut back there with your finger because you can't see nothing. And then once you get on the nut, then connecting into the universal and ratcheting from out here. So let me stop here and we'll go to the next one.